Hello, good to have you on the program, and of course it still remains the economy today on KAFTAN television. And so this day we still want to talk about the fact that on a general note, there has to be one purpose or the other, one reason or the other. We would always say that the economy of the viewer is made better at the end of each edition of this program. And that's why this day I have brought someone that will help me bring this same idea clearer to you. But then apart from that, we have our business news today, and then we'll still talk stock exchange and other things that follow in the program. So just do stay with us and get to be part of it all. I know that at the end of the day, you will be glad that you were part of it. That's one sure thing I can say. Okay, Chukwanuboko here. Welcome again. I have got a guest that is already seated with me. I will introduce him and we will still return to continue to talk about starting with something else apart from talking with the guest. My guest today is Dr. Levin Damisa. Dr. Levin Damisa is, of course, a public health physician, and he is the MD of a hospital here in Abuja, and we'll talk about that as we go on, talking about Medirest. And he is here. So let me just say welcome to him. He will help me talk about the matter we have today because it has to do with medical tourism. Good to have you here, Doc.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
And on our topic, it's healthcare and the economy. Healthcare and the economy. And zeroing in on medical tourism. Is it an economic sabotage or not? We want to find out from the professional. He's one that will tell us about medical tourism. We want to find out if it is depleting the economy or if by any means it's assisting in the economy. But I know that somehow if medical tourism happens to come towards Nigeria, that it will help the economy. But if it goes from Nigeria, it will not help the economy. But he is the one that will tell us more about all that. Just do stay and be part of it. Before we get into this discussion, let's take, first of all, business news for today.
The Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation has issued a clarification on circulating reports suggesting that a 40% peculiar allowance has been approved for federal civil servants. In a statement released, the OHCSF emphasized that it's neither approved nor formally communicated such an allowance to the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council or any labor union. The authority to issue and communicate allowances, the office explained, rests solely with the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. The controversial circular was, in fact, issued by NSIWC on April 23, 2026. The OHCSF also highlighted that a meeting held on May 12th was strictly an interventionist and conciliatory engagement aimed at fostering dialogue between organized labor and the NSIWC to prevent a breakdown in labor relations. The office reiterated its commitment to peaceful labor relations and continued collaboration with all stakeholders to promote industrial harmony in the federal civil service. In the face of rising global economic uncertainty, African leaders are being urged to accelerate industrialization and deepen trade within the continent. The call comes from the African Export-Import Bank ahead of its 33rd annual meetings in Egypt, scheduled for June 21st to 24th. Afreximbank President Dr. George Elombi told journalists that Africa's next growth phase must be driven by stronger regional trade, industrial processing, and economic integration. He highlighted initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area and the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System as foundations for this vision, stressing that the focus now must be on translating these frameworks into tangible economic gains. Dr. Elombi also revealed that Afreximbank is collaborating closely with African central banks to strengthen trade financing, expand industrialization, and boost financial system resilience. Programs with regional banks in West and Central Africa are already underway, aimed at improving access to trade and development finance. In a groundbreaking move, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) and the Central Bank of Nigeria have signed a landmark memorandum of understanding aimed at strengthening economic planning through better data sharing and research collaboration. The agreement signed at the CBN headquarters in Abuja will integrate weather and climate information into Nigeria's economic policy framework, focusing on sectors like agriculture, energy, and transportation. NIMET Director General Professor Charles Anosike said the partnership is crucial as extreme weather and climate change increasingly threaten food security and economic stability. He noted that climate-related data is essential for national planning, aligning with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which prioritizes food security and large-scale agricultural investment. CBN Deputy Governor Dr. Mohammed Sani Abdullahi described the MOU as a major step towards evidence-based policy making, highlighting the importance of timely and reliable data for inflation tracking, agricultural analysis, and broader economic decisions. Stakeholders hailed the collaboration as a vital link between scientific forecasting and effective economic governance in Nigeria. In a major push to modernize Nigeria's road network, the federal government has signed fresh agreements with two leading construction firms, High-Tech Africa Limited and InfoQuest International Limited, for key highway projects under President Bola Tinubu's Infrastructure Renewal Program. The signing, which took place at the Ministry of Works headquarters in Abuja, covers critical sections of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway, Calabar-Ebonyi-Abuja Superhighway, and the Akwanga-Jos Bauchi-Gombe-Biu-Medjugorje Corridor. Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, described the roads as strategic investments set to boost economic activities, enhance national connectivity, and drive long-term development. He highlighted the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway as a 100-year investment with complex engineering works in swampy terrain already underway. Officials assured the public that all projects would meet international engineering standards, reinforcing the administration's commitment to infrastructure that transforms Nigeria's economy.
If we had a better structure, I thought I had some kind of stuff in mind to say geopolitical zones. And we had a plan that every geopolitical zone must have a power station, for example. That means we have a minimum of six strong power stations.
Yes. It's very important that we embrace these investors. I think what they want to do now is to be able to make them understand that, look, going forward, it's no longer going to be business as usual.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be happening in the past, we want to now be able to put a system in place that will checkmate correct.
Thank you so much. We've taken that, and we want to look straight into the things we have and money matters before we take a slight break and then give you the stock exchange. Yes, we're taking the monetary review right now. After that, we'll now do orders, please. Monetary review. Thank you. Nigeria's cooling inflation era has hit a significant geopolitical roadblock after nearly a year of steady decline. Headline inflation is projected to climb for the second consecutive month, reaching 15.95% in April 2026. According to the Coronation Inflation Outlook released on Thursday, the disinflationary trend that began in March is expected to persist through the second quarter. This shift is driven primarily by a structural risk premium in global energy markets and localized food supply constraints. The primary catalyst for the upward pressure remains volatility in the Middle East, with Brent crude averaging 127.45 barrels per barrel in April, and dollar per barrel, and domestic impact has been immediate and sharp. The geopolitical oil shock that defined the March inflation released has not faded, the report states. For Nigeria, the transmission to domestic prices runs through higher PMS prices, which surged to an average of 1,222 naira 50 kobo in April from 1,208 naira 38 kobo in March. 9.44% increase, it added. This surge in fuel cost is already bleeding into the broader economy. The transport sub-index is expected to see further acceleration as second-round adjustments to fares, logistics, and intracity haulage rates feed through, while monthly food momentum showed a slight cooling as festive demand subsided. The year-on-year figures remain troubling. And we'll still continue to talk about the next one, that is the telcos. And telcos, 1 billion naira investment pushed broadband penetration above 54%. Nigeria's broadband penetration has risen to 54.3% following increased network expansion and investment by telecoms operators aimed at deepening the country's digital economy. The Nigeria Telecommunications Commission said on Thursday, the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the NCC, Aminu Maida, disclosed this during the opening of the 2026 workshop for judges on legal issues in telecommunications held in Lagos in partnership with the National Judicial Institute. Speaking at an event themed Adjudicating in the Digital Era, the judiciary's imperative in connectivity, infrastructure protection, and online safety, Maida said broadband penetration increased from 47.7% recorded in 2025 to 54.3% this year, reflecting wider access to faster internet services across the country. Finally, on this, we'll also look at Nigeria-Germany signed €365 million euros partnership. Nigeria and Germany have signed a new development cooperation agreement expected to strengthen investment, infrastructure, financing, and economic growth, with Germany committing fresh financial support worth €65 million and an additional €300 million export credit guarantee framework for Nigeria. The agreement was signed at the German embassy in Abuja after bilateral negotiations between officials of both countries in critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. The Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, in a statement, said the partnership is expected to support long-term development projects, improve investment flows, and deepen economic ties between Nigeria and Germany. Speaking during the ceremony, the Minister of State for Budget and Economic Planning, Uzoka Anite, Dr. Uzoka Anite, said the agreement reflects the growing relationship between both countries and comes at a crucial period in Nigeria's economic reform program. Well, that is what we have, thanks to Ndoka Chiejina and some other fellows that we got these stories from. Thank you so much. And then we'll go on to look at other things now. As I said, we'll just take this slight break and then we'll return, take the stock exchange before now start with the discussion with my guest seated here already with me. Thank you. We'll straight away get into the stock exchange story and we'll return and get on to our discussion. So, the Nigeria Stock Exchange right now. The NGX closed the week on a weaker note after hitting record high earlier in the week. And of course, because of the timing, the final result has not been brought forth for this week, but then we'll look at all that has happened all through the week. Index and market capital, we'll talk about all share index opened on Monday at, that is the 11th, with a 0.12% loss, closed Tuesday at 252,158.23 points. The market capital hit 161.61 trillion naira Tuesday, crossing 160 trillion for the first time Monday, 11th May. Year-to-date return is 57.3%, or as of week ended 8 May. Trading activity, 87.71 billion naira turnover on 2.03 billion shares in 80,888 deals. We also have week ended at May that gave 7.075 billion shares worth 324.35 billion naira. Changed hands up from 287.76 billion naira the previous week. Volume leader CWG traded 432.8 million shares. That was on Tuesday. And now looking at top movers, that is gainers, of course. CAP PLC gained 60.95%. Week ended 8 May, closed at 212.50. And Dangote Sugar 33.43%, Zenith Bank 3.85% to 235 naira, while Access Holdings gained 6.22% to 25 naira 60 kobo. Chams Holdings near 10% gain midweek. And for losers, MTN Nigeria lost 12.45%. Week ended on 8th May, and then Guinness lost 18.99%, while NACO lost 20.95%. These are top losers. And what drove the week earnings? We had earnings of first quarter results from GTCO, Lafarge Africa, and CAP PLC kept buying interest in banking and consumer stocks. Profit taking after a 57% year-to-date rally. Investors locked in gains in large caps like MTN and Guinness. There are other points like macro focus in April CPI data to CBN MPC meeting. And of course, the NPC meeting will be holding soon. Looking at the fact that today is 15th, the NPC meeting will be holding 19th and 20th. So we'll get to see a lot of difference at the end of that meeting. We'll just let it be for now because I wouldn't want to keep my guests for too long. All I need to tell you is that the market is in a selective phase, and the banking and mid-cap tech are still seeing inflows while heavyweights consolidate ahead of the NPC meeting. Let's just keep it at that so that we'll continue with our talk because time is really of the essence. So straight away, we want to welcome Dr. Levin Damisa one more time onto the program. You're welcome, sir. And of course, while I was talking, I mentioned the Medirest. You are a visiting consultant.
Yeah.
Medirest, please. I need to correct myself, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's look at what we have on health tourism. Health tourism is when people travel across cities, states, or countries, especially to get medical treatment. I mentioned a bit of it then. I said it could be from here or to here.
Yeah.
And that is what is known as health tourism. Am I correct, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to ask, looking at health tourism, tell us how it works. And then we'll look at it before we look at the topic, because I said sabotage, economic sabotage for Nigeria. Let's it.
Thank you very much. Because medical tourism, health tourism is about one and the same.
Yes.
Well, when we use the word medical tourism, you know, it's funny to join. It looks somehow to join tourism and medical treatment in one trap, but it's not actually a new concept. Even in the old times, in the Jewish culture, or in the Mid Eastern culture, you see the king that sent one of his army generals to another king to heal him, and say, get a prophet to heal him, because it is recorded that Naaman was a very great Syrian soldier. You know, Syria, a very powerful soldier, powerful general with a lot of medals on his chest, but he had leprosy or a skin condition. So he was sent by the king with a letter to say, go to that king and let him get you healed. And the king saw it and said, he is trouble and giving me trouble. So eventually, of course, the story, a prophet came into the picture and he was healed and he went back to his country. So requesting for medical assistance for another country is not new. Now, medical tourism, it's just a reflection that no country has it all at any given time. No country has it all. So medical tourism, as you rightly reflected earlier on, is when people seek for treatment in a country outside their own country, you know, and then they also avail themselves the tourist attraction of that country. So that is medical tourism. Now we have what you call medical tourism generating countries and medical tourism destination countries.
Yes.
Yeah. And these are defined by what we call the push and the pull factors. The push factors are basically those things that tend to push people away from their own country to look for treatment outside their own country. And some of these could include, not exhaustively, could include cost, affordable cost, the presence of specialized treatment in that particular country of choice, which is called tourism destination country, medical tourism destination country, MTDC. And then it could, apart from cost availability, it could just be that you also have some business interests. We have seen people who have business in Egypt, in Dubai. From there, while you are doing a business, you also avail yourself in specialized medical care. So these are all forms of medical tourism. Then the pull factors are those things that make it attractive for you to come. One, sometimes they give a huge discount. Sometimes they can run a promo and say you that a procedure that should cost $10,000 is now $4,000. So you now look at it that, okay, your ticket, as you had to go to that country before, you know, find, okay, ticket, hotel, and treatment, everything comes to $7,000. One of these ones to accrue to that and still do your trip, still do your purchase and your shipping. So there are a lot of pull factors. Sometimes you have a presence of specialized treatment, And those are the issues. So when we look at push or pull factors, another issue is what we call waiting time. You know, I have friends in the UK who will tell you that the average waiting time could account for 3 to 6 months. In some cases, 1 year. You are still on the waiting list to see a doctor, a specialist. So if you are to wait in your country for 1 year, and you have a chance to see a doctor in 3 weeks, and you find that disease progression do not wait for time.
Yes, of course.
So you want to jump at the offer of 3 weeks. So those are what we call pull or push factors. Because what could be a push factor could also be a pull factor. Meaning that if a treatment procedure is, for example, there are some specialized dental procedures, in which case, if you are to wait in your country, you may be waiting for about, let's say 1 year to 6 months, or 18 months, 1 year to 18 months, 12 months to 18 months. And you have another person offering you the same treatment, maybe in another country of destination, let's say Dubai, and then you don't want to look at the cost. Why should I wait for 18 months when I can just travel to that country and avail myself? So those are the factors that influence medical tourism. You know, it's very key we understand this, that medical tourism, as I said, is a reflection that no country has it all. Many years ago, when I was in India, I was at the immigration office to update my papers, and I ran into a Nigerian woman who came from the US to avail fertility treatment in India. So when we got talking, and I said, Auntie, you left, because she's an American citizen. We are still in touch. And she said, Damisa, I need to come to India, because she killed her husband, they did treatment, the husband left her in India and went back. When she delivered the baby, she came for immigration to get papers, to get the baby away. What am I saying? She said the waiting time in the US was so frustrating, plus the cost, because some of these things are not covered by insurance. But so it was cheaper to come to India with the ticket, with the hotel, and the treatment itself. Everything is still small. It's still lesser compared to what you will spend in the US. So many a time, waiting time can influence the flow of medical tourism. And I'm glad to announce to you that in this, I did a paper on medical tourism some years ago, and we lose about $2 billion every year of Nigerians who are going outside Nigeria for treatment. 2 billion. Yes. Yeah. The figure may change now, but
it would really have changed by now because of the inflationary rate.
Yes. Yeah. But then, I'm glad to announce that what we are not doing now, what we are seeing in the last few years, in the last 5 to 7 years, is what we call RMT, reverse medical tourism. Now, people are beginning to come to Nigeria to avail some treatment. We need to celebrate that, because if the pull factors in those countries are present here, people will also come. I've seen people left the UK or Canada to come to Nigeria to see specialists here because the waiting time is so small. You come to, in fact, there's no hospital in Nigeria right now, any private hospital, that you will go and say you want to see a consultant, you wait for 1 week. No, if you want a consultant tomorrow, you'll get a consultant. If you want to see a consultant at 2 a.m., you get a consultant, if you can afford the fee. Because so many people come to Nigeria and say, what do you mean? I could see a consultant with just 2 weeks, with just a week. So when the waiting time is reduced, people tend to go to such countries. So right now, in recent years, we are also experiencing reverse medical tourism. Before now, when you talk about hip replacement surgery, you are looking at places like Cairo, places like in Egypt. You look at places like Germany. You look at places like Israel, like Switzerland, Geneva. But now, people are coming. I can tell you for free that even in Abuja, where we are domiciled, hip replacement goes on every week in the different hospitals. So we are beginning to reverse the trend of medical tourism. And I think that is a plus to the government and the economic space. We are not there yet. It's not yet Uhuru because of different challenges here and there. But it's not as bleak as it used to be. So I think it's a transition, and we'll get there as things unfold. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Looking at it, some of these things, some of these factors have enabled the fact that we could have it this way now. That is the RMT,
reverse medical tourism.
Okay, it's good that we're getting to have it this way. And for me, I would say that even as we are receiving it this way. Anyway, to corroborate what you said, there is someone I know right now that came in from Britain that has gone on for treatment, and is because, I believe it's because of this waiting time thing.
Yeah.
And this fellow's consultant happens to be domiciled here in Abuja. So she came all the way from Britain for the treatment that is received, and she's recuperating right now.
Yeah.
So I think that goes to show that the fact that point you raise is real.
Yeah.
But looking at it, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Do we have the facilities? Do we have facilities that are good enough, apart from the fact that we have good hands like you, I must say.
Thank you.
We have good hands like you in Nigeria that have decided to stay here and do it, no matter the fact that people are talking about brain drain. You decided to stay here and help us, and we are grateful to people like you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You are representing so many others. But we want to ask, how many do we have? How many health facilities do we have that can take care of our people effectively? All right.
I think a few days ago, the NMA, the Nigerian Medical Association, were discussing. You know, there's an average number of doctors for population from the WHO standard. But right now, I think a few years ago, it was 4 doctors per 1,000 for 10,000 Nigerians. Now it's gotten worse. As it's now we have about one or two doctors to 10,000 people. So the doctor-patient ratio is so high in Nigeria, dismally high, and it's a nightmare. So we still have a lot of brain drain. The Japan syndrome is still ongoing. People are still leaving the country. Consultants are still leaving. Professors are still leaving because of, the push factors and the pull factors. Those are economic variables and security driven and everything. So, of course, money is security. So you want to try as much as possible to see that those things are taken care of. But you see, the issue is that we have hospitals. Well, of course, I'm not permitted to name hospitals here because they didn't pay for advert. So there are hospitals that are actually doing well. There are some tertiary hospitals, even privately owned. Because there's this story of one of our traditional rulers who went to the US or UK for treatment, and the doctor that attended to him was a doctor from his own state. You get the irony of it. He traveled from Nigeria to US, I think it was the US. The doctor the specialist he traveled to meet, the specialist he traveled to consult with was a doctor, not just a Nigerian doctor.
But from his own hometown.
From his own state, from his own town.
Oh, God.
You know, so sometimes you ask yourself, why are we going out? Because the facilities. Because when you look at quality care, there are 3 domains of quality care. The structure, the people, the structure, and the environment. So it's a balance. So we have hospitals that have equipment. We have hospitals that are still acquiring. We have hospitals who are also in partnership with some of these hospitals in the Middle East, abroad, that they have specialized equipment shipped to them, and with a kind of a specialized joint venture, and to attend to cases. Like I tell you, there is a procedure that was done in one of those wonderful European countries that had complications. They come to Nigeria and they are corrected. Wow. So many a time, it's not just absence of equipment, it's absence of personnel. Okay. And right now in Nigeria, they what we call jackpot now. Those that ran away are coming back. They are coming back, because if you travel because there's scarcity of bread, a time will come, you will come back. Like Naomi and her husband went when there was hunger, and after losing everything, they came back. Some are coming back now, because the reality is that Nigeria is coming out of the woods. Not many people may agree, but the truth is that we are coming out of the woods.
Though we still have the problem of security.
You see,
that is referred to
as like I mentioned the last time I appeared on this studio in your program, it's a two-way thing.
Yes.
just after I mentioned it that drains are blocked by people, one day I was driving again and I saw a Benz in my front, the Mercedes Benz driving very fine car. The next thing, one of the occupants opened the one down the glass and threw back on the road. Oh, I said, God, I felt like if I should overspeed, that would be another hazard on me. So on my part, so I said, I wish I could stop this guy and say, can you imagine what you've done? If 50 Benz drop bottles on the ground, if 1,000 people drop bottles on the road and the way you wash them, the drain will be blocked, there will be flooding. So security is everybody's problem. It's also, you can want to say security of life, of property. I was watching some time ago and I said a boy entered a place, an uncompleted building, there were 60 paints there. He carried the paint, poured away the paint, and sold the bucket for 1,000 naira.
And that was all he needed.
Paint worth 1.5 million. He threw them away. He emptied the content as per liquid content only. He threw content away and he went to sell the bucket for 1,000 naira. So you ask yourself, what level of ignorance is that? If you are sold the paint, it's a different
level of ignorance.
Ignorance and wickedness. So we believe that when it comes to security, the government is trying their best because, people always think it's automatic, but there are a lot of factors that come to security. People's desire for peace to reign. There are people, in fact, the Bible says it sometimes, there are people whose job at night is to think of evil.
Yes.
As they go to bed, their job is to think of evil. How do I destabilize? Just as you sit down to do research, how can I make this place better? There are people whose job is, how can I cause harm to the system? For such people, except God expose them. So security-wise, we are not there yet. And no country is 100% security-free. We see our sporadic gunshot, people shooting school children. So all those things are beyond our control. But I think as we keep evolving, medical tourism is being reversed now. People are beginning to come. And you find out that as at last count, over 40,000 Nigerian doctors are outside the country. That is a huge drain. A huge pool on our human resource capital. But I can tell you that some of them are coming back and some of them are still there. Like the Indian government, when they say it was brain drain, they said no. They choose to call it brain gain. They say we will not call it brain drain. They said they should go and be exposed to the best. They will come back. So what they did is to make conditions now available. They gave some of them land free. They gave them moratorium for tax. They gave them opportunities to build hospitals of world standard. So they say bring in, go to US, go to UK, go to France, go to Geneva, go to Australia. You will come back, and they are coming back.
Come and establish it.
So I think that is also what is happening now. I think there's one, is it in Anambra State or one of those? Is it Anambra or Imo State or so? I saw a video of a doctor or group of doctors. I don't know if it's Owerri or so. Group of doctors coming to build world-class hospital. That is brain gain. They've been abroad. They've been abroad. They've been abroad. They've been outside the country. They are now coming back to develop what they have outside, homegrown. So those are part of the advantages of brain drain turning to brain gain. So it all depends on how we view it. Is it a 6? Is it a 9? Is this 6?
Depends on how you look at it.
So, because you find out, like I said earlier on, no country has it all. That means there's every tendency for you to depend on others. So the world is interdependent. There are some services, because there are some services that Nigeria is good in. That is the truth. There are some services that Nigeria is very good. I tell people, when I see people going outside the country for gynae procedures, I just smile. I said, our gynecologists are one of the best. You take fibroid to abroad to operate, they are not used to it. Come to Nigeria. There are better gynecologists. My teacher in those days, they are seasoned obstetricians. And we still have them all over the world. And they are in Nigeria. So when I see blacks going for fibroid, I say, no, come here. When you talk about cardiovascular, okay, technology-driven, that's where the West may surpass us. But the human skill, the human drivers behind those skills are still black. They are still in Nigeria. So all we need to do is just to see how we can have those equipment here. And I can tell you, we are gaining some mileage in that direction.
Like in this one I just mentioned, this fellow came for oncology.
Yeah, okay, good.
And it's been well done, well handled there in Nigeria.
Exactly. So we are not as bad as
it looks.
As it looks. It's just that, like my teacher told me in secondary school, he said, if 100 people write WAEC and 99 people pass,
and one person fails.
He said if you meet that one person on the way, that was the result. The result is bad. So many a time, I can't forget Mr. Adigun. I celebrate him. My math teacher is from Osun State. Anytime I will celebrate him today, Mr. Kings Adigun.
Yes, we are celebrating you. We celebrate you, Mr. Adigun.
Yes, Mr.
His teacher.
The name is Kings Adigun. Korade Bitayo Sulu Kwarinahi Adigun. Your math teacher. He says, so Tanimola, read very well, so that they will meet you on the road, you'll be among the 99. Yes. So it just tells us that many a time, there are still bad results. Yes. There are still bad outcome. We have seen people that had operation in the US, in the UK, and they didn't work. So, but unfortunately for Nigerian system, if it happened abroad, people tend to accept results that are bad from abroad as per they must have done their best.
Yes.
But if it's happening in Nigeria, even when you do your best, people think that you didn't do well enough.
You didn't do well enough.
So the average Nigerian doctor is working on eggshell of people don't believe in you first of all. So you are starting your work with the baggage of are you good enough? That is one thing about Nigerian doctor or Nigerian health system. Yes. Are they good enough? So the only thing you do, they judge from that prison of are you good enough? So that even when you not make mistake, honest mistake, they say you are incompetent. But abroad, they think that you are so wonderful. So anything you do, you say,
it has been an act of God. After you must unavoidable. All that you have done. Yes.
So some of this, that's why when people talk, we just smile, because if you know the nitty-gritty of clinical practice, some things are not, but the media is always, especially in this area of social media, just post one thing, everybody come on you. Yes. Nobody believe in you. Yes. They are wicked, they are bad. People come with their stories of woes. But I think by and large that Nigeria is making gain in medical tourism. In Abuja here, I can count 4-5 hospitals, 5 orthopedic surgeons who are doing very well with hip replacement therapy, treatment, with a lot of advanced care, like heart condition. We have people who are having stents, who are having pacemaker insertion. So we don't need to go so that you don't need to put pressure on the dollars again. Instead of you to put pressure on the dollar, come here. We have one of my mentors, a urologist. They do a lot of procedure, bloodless prostate surgery, Holland surgery. So we are trying to reverse the trend so that people don't just go outside the country. You can stay in Nigeria, you fly to Lagos, you fly to Abuja, you do it. One day you are back to work. Nobody knew that your guy has done any surgery. That is where we are in Nigeria right now. And I think we should celebrate those wins while we make effort to cover ground where we are not doing very well.
Well, it's good. David, there must be areas where we will not be doing well.
Yeah.
And then we'll work hard on getting them covered, just as you said, so that somehow it will not be out of place if we eventually become able to do well everywhere. After all, we are told, aim ye therefore to be perfect, as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Yeah.
So perfection is possible even in the medical field.
Yes.
Right. Well, looking at all this, and we have had this topic, medical tourism, economic sabotage. For us now, from the way you have said it, it's both sides. It could go this way, it could go that way.
Yeah.
But looking at it really deeply for Nigeria, where are we still? Are we on the higher side of percentage or the lower side, 50 up or 49 down?
Of those going up or those going out?
Yes.
Where people are still going out.
Concerning our economy.
Okay. Well, I'm not an economist.
Yes.
But I think when we relate it to health, you see, when you see somebody sold his land, sold his house,
just to go abroad for treatment,
it's not a sabotage. It's out of survival desperation.
Okay.
Because nobody in his senses will sell a land, sell his house, sell his property, sell his car, change to dollars, go outside for treatment that you may return alive or not. So it's out of I see it as out of desperation. Sabotage is when you deliberately do it to undermine the national interest.
Okay.
Sabotage is when you deliberately do something to undermine the national interest or security.
Okay.
But if people, because they are looking for, nobody wants to die. You know, there's this song, everybody wants to go heaven, nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. So when you tell there's a solution in India, you want to go. And you cannot pay India rupee from Nigerian naira. So you must look for what is internationally accepted, the dollar. If you want to go to UK, you can't pay in naira. You go to pound, you have to get pound. So these are things that is putting pressure. Okay. And that's why I say right now, people are beginning to look inwards, that why am I going to Israel? Why should I go to America? Why should I go to Germany? Why should I go to Turkey? Why should I go to Dubai, Saudi, if it can be done in Nigeria? So hospitals are now coming together to have equipment, have consortium that can have those equipments in good number, pulling resources back home. And that's what we should be looking at. Because if you look at it from the economy, there are many factors that drive the economy. If somebody has a child abroad and you want to use your, summer is coming now, and you want to use your opportunity to see the child and avail himself for medical care, you can't blame such a thing. You can't blame such a desire. Because first, don't forget that there are basic rights, right of movement, right to live, right to survive. So you cannot tell people not to go out. I can tell you for free that it has always been there. And why those, when we are small, they say that papa has gone to Egypt for eye surgery.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, eye surgery. Yes, they say he went for eye. And what is the surgery? Cataract extraction.
Yes. Now
that cataract is being done like health outreaches. You see people coming for medical outreach, they tell you free eye surgery. Cataract. The man will travel to Egypt for cataract extraction, he will come back, after 6 months he will go for checkup again. You know, but now those things they are valuable.
Yes.
They are valuable.
And so somewhat it saves us some.
It saves pressure from foreign exchange. That's why we must keep developing the local skill.
Yes.
The local skill acquisition must be developed. The local skill, and by how do you develop local skill, get more people to train and have what we call clinical retention program, where that people can be retained in Nigeria by making it attractive, by making the push factor less effective. If a doctor is sure of a house, is sure of a land to start or build a house, put mortgage, as you're working, your money is going gradually into your house. Yes. Nobody wants to run. You know, so those are the things that we believe, and I can tell you for free that some state governments have started doing that already. At national level, I think those things are also going at a different level, where people are being given incentive to have a property while you are working. We have people that get rural allowance for working in the rural area. So these are areas you can, these are little things that are being done to retain people in the country. But you know, some people must still go, no matter what. One, for example, your parents outside the country, or your siblings outside, only you here. They may say, "Why are you?" So there are some. So you can never say nobody should go. But the program that we aim at is how to retain as many as possible to strengthen the local hands in Nigeria. Okay. Yes.
Well, it's good that we've heard this and seen it from you, because on a general note, it look as though nothing is happening. But when we get to hear from people like you, we get to understand them more, the things that are happening and why they are happening. It's a good thing. Now, look downwards, talking about the fact that, not even downwards, let's go further up.
Okay.
Further up, and this further up is top people in government. Top people in government still prefer going for treatment abroad. Why do you think it is so?
Well, I remember those days. I think, like I said, you know, there are some things that we critique without knowing the basis. If there is no rule that forbids them going out for treatment, you can't blame them. If there's no rule that says don't go out, like we have seen countries in where ministers are barred from taking first class ticket. Yes. We have taken countries where in some countries they tell you ministers let the embassy people there represent you and send report to you. Until it becomes a law, you cannot blame those who travel out. It's just a media speculation, media trial, why is he going out? Well, if there's no rule that forbids them, it's like, assuming there's a rule that says every government person, the children must be in public school, especially in the education sector. if that is not there, you can't blame me for putting my child in a private school. So that's the point I'm saying. So when people say,
yes, if you do anything now, it's an infringement.
Yeah. So you're right, because they also have a right to living. They have a right to life. They have a right to freedom of choice.
Yes.
They have a right to freedom of association.
Yes.
They have a right to also. So when people make such pronouncements, it's just because we're speaking from a place of emotions and sentiment. And you know, you don't run government on emotions and sentiment. You know, it's okay, there's a moral burden. How can Minister of, let's say, health treat abroad? Those are moral questions. But you see, moral question is neither here nor there. You can say, okay, I went to see my daughter, I got sick. I mean, I just took advantage of myself to do that. But again, I know the issue of trying to believe in what you promote. Like if you are working in a first bank, and you have your salary account in Zenith Bank, it means you don't believe your first bank.
Exactly, you don't believe it.
You know, something like that. Yeah. So I know there's that moral question of, but until there's a regulation that forbids it, it's not a crime. It may not be
a problem.
Yes.
It should not be a crime.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those who are politicians who are working and thinking of how to help the country, this is one of the things you should do. When you get there, ensure that people should get treated in their own country, except when the case is an exceptional one and the medical personnel will say we need to go abroad, then it will be done. If not, let's all stay here. Even concerning education, let the same thing happen, that our children are trained here. Because when such happens, you see the strike action that we're talking about of ASU and all those things will be brought down. And a lot, even in the hospitals that we also keep having the strike talking about the NMA and all that. All these things will be brought down. And not just NMA, there is this resident doctors, yes, Association of Resident Doctors, NARD. So these things will be brought down. But if there is, because if these big people start doing it here, it will help. There will be enough money to take care of members of the NARD.
But do you know, I'm sorry to come in.
Yes.
Do you know that there are people who traveled out? I have people who traveled out to Germany, to all those countries, and they still came back home to meet our local hands for treatment. So, you know, sometimes you don't believe in your own.
Yes.
So many times when you see people traveling out, sometimes some don't know better, some just assume that everybody that has a white skin is better. So there's still that colonial mentality that the white skin is better than the dark skin. But when they still go out, sometimes the white guy will still refer you to say, oh, meet my senior colleague who's a black skin in Nigeria.
A black man, someone from your country.
And some still come down to Nigeria for treatment. So after spending all the thousands of dollars, they still come back home to meet our Nigerian doctors to treat them, where examples are bound. Because one thing people, which we must draw before we draw the curtain, is that there is also a downside of medical tourism. One of the downsides people don't consider is continuation of care. If you go abroad to have a specialized surgery done, you don't have money to stay for 6 months. They tell you, let's see you, come for review in 6 months. Where will you stay? You come back to Nigeria. If you don't have deep pocket, you can't travel again for 6 months. And that 6 months follow-up will be that you go to clinic, in 30 minutes they are done.
Yes. Or so even less.
In fact, less. I'm just being generous.
Yes.
So in that case, people often have the difficulty of how do I follow up my care in the home country.
Yes.
That's one of the draw side of medical tourism. I've seen people that go out for treatment of cancer, then have to come back and still depend on the local structure to accommodate them for continuation of care, for follow-up care.
Yes.
You know, so that is why you must always look inward. You see, charity begins at home. So we must begin to look inward. And I think smart investors are looking that direction, investing in health, investing in hospital, investing in equipment, investing in reference diagnostic laboratories. Yes. We have it in Abuja now. Yes. We have some labs that are diagnostic, they are reference lab with a global, with a accreditation, yes. Joint Commission accreditation, GCA value. So that is, we are making progress. Because one of the challenges of medical tourism is when there's absence of good diagnostic basis. Okay. And I think some investors are very smart. they've plugged their gap. You see people now sending, before, most of the tests we do in Nigeria, some of the tests, you send them to South Africa, but now they are done here. Because guys have now invested in it. You can do it here. And they are pulling samples, what called sample pulling. You pull, you do it so that there can be, so that you save the dollar.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Levin, for coming again. Is Dr. Levin Damisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having given us this time to share the moment with us. We are grateful.
Thank you very much.
He is, of course, a medical doctor. He is a practitioner, a physician, a public health physician, and we're happy that he came to educate us on these things and help us see how to make things better, especially our economy.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, sir. Please do oblige us because we'll still be asking you to come. It's true the way we are. We need all this to help everyone around us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you.
And dear viewer, thank you for being there, for watching, and for seeing all that has happened. And this thing has been streamed live on all our social media networks. So you can go check and spread it to other people. Let them watch. That would be good. And we want to say we'll keep being here on this program to talk about these things. Thanks to Adebayo Sanusi for being there for me. Thanks to Victor Adeye. Thank you, the editor. Thank you also to Sam Omaji for being here to put us in order. Not forgetting also to thank Victor Chizea, as well as Oluwaseun Desoji. I hope I'm not missing it. So I want to thank you, all of you, for being part of what has happened. We'll always hope to share the moments with you on a beautiful note like this again and again. Until we meet again, I want to say something very specially right now, that this program is also open to sponsorship. You can come in and help sponsor this program. We'll talk more. And that is on the note which I will conclude, saying, okay, Bobo here, let the very best happen to us all the time. That's my prayer for all of us.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
we imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
We blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTAN TV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria
and around the world to create signal.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait, we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting from September.
Take a look at what the facts are.
And as you say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world.
Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Cleveland in Detroit in a series tied 2-2. The third all-time Game 5 meeting in the postseason between the Cavs and Pistons. Previous two had been won by Cleveland by 2 points apiece, including a double overtime win back in 2007. Would history repeat itself tonight? Well, out of the chute, it was all Detroit. Danis Jenkins started the year as a role guy. My, how his role has grown as the year has gone on. Scored the first 7 points for Detroit. Beautiful little fake and float. Early 9-4 lead for the Pistons. What a nice pass up the floor. Harden finds Evan Mobley, who gets the dunk pass to Tobias Harris. James Harden would have a very impactful night. Here he is on the ball and is able to thread the needle. Jarrett Allen, the acrobatic scoop up and in. As you will see tonight, defense was huge for both teams. So those passes threading the needle, it did not come easy for anybody at this juncture. At 1 point lead for Cleveland, but it was short-lived. First, a deflection by Asar Thompson. It sets up Cade Cunningham, coming off his worst game of the series in Game 4. Just 7 of 16 from the field, 19 points. He had 10 points in the first quarter alone. We go to the second. Tobias Harris still getting buckets, even as an elder statesman in the league. This